Hello my dear friends and welcome to yet another episode of Singhania Questplus Ed Talks. Malala Yousafzai in her first public speech at the United Nations said, "One child, one teacher, one book and one pen can change the world." With the same passion and determination to change the world of education, we have with us Mrs. Simi Sharma, founder and director of Blooming Buds Playschool and K-12 ICSE school called Avalon Heights International School. This visionary educator holds multiple degrees and has a wealth of experience and expertise in the field of education. A very warm welcome to you, ma'am. Thank you so much for gracing the occasion. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me here, and it's just wonderful to always connect with you.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you here, ma'am. We have been getting a lot of questions from parents and teachers across the country. I would like to start off with the first question. You've been a strong believer of child-centric approach and a practitioner of spirituality and mindfulness. Please tell us something about how you've implemented these and various other innovative ideas in your school, ma'am. We would love to know that.
Sure. We are living in a day and age where there is information explosion. Okay, there is too much information, and this is causing a lot of anxiety and fear amongst the people. And since we are actually just raised on a very big dose of logic and reason, and all of those things, very often people don't know how to now get hold of their emotions, right? Even during sleep, people are constantly sort of thinking and trying to fix a problem, and wake up in the morning, trying to sort of do things. So we have turned into human doings rather than the human beings that we were supposed to be. And I think that this has a lot to do with the spirituality taken away from the center stage of education, which is where it always was. Traditionally, at the heart of education was spirituality.
Right.
And it's very important for children to know that everything in the world does not run with logic. Life is not fair. Okay, there are many googlies life is going to throw your way. Okay, and you can't a lot of times make sense of it by just putting two and two together. So it's very important, therefore, to know that there is something higher than logic, and there is something beyond what mind can comprehend, and which is our spirit. The power of our spirit, the power of our consciousness is something that we must teach our children. And what we have experienced is that increasingly, the children in this digital age, the more we actually are tutoring them about the different identity of the mind and the soul and their spirit, they actually find a lot of peace. They find a lot of, they can make a lot of sense, out of the entire experience that life throws at them. And we introduce something called mindfulness, right from a very young age, because we are just living in a day and age where we think that, from the time we open our eyes, we got to be running. So just learning to take a pause and just breathe and become aware that, all right, I am not my thoughts and I am not my feelings. I am something more than that. So to know that I have thoughts and I have feelings, but I am not those, and I can control them and I can change them, is a very, very important understanding that needs to be given to children and adults, in this day and age, for them to really make sense of what's happening at a very, very rapid speed. And keeping this in mind, we've always had a 10 minutes of meditation time for the entire school, which took a little bit of a backseat last year when the lockdown suddenly sort of struck us. And we realized in a good 6 months' time, we could actually see a lot of children isolating themselves, getting into some kind of a depression, not responding. And these are bright kids who had always been at the center stage, very talented, very bright kids. And suddenly they said they needed help, they needed counseling. They had a general apathy, general loss of interest in everything that life was presenting to them, a lack of motivation. And then we realized that online or offline, I think we need to bring it back. So this year, we brought in a lot of changes along with the NEP. And one of the things we brought back, and I brought back also because I said that for these years, it's not important how much we teach, okay, and what we teach. What is really important in these 2 years is critical is the well-being of the children. Okay, so if we have to look at the well-being of the children, we have to also look at the well-being of the teacher, because unless the teacher is happy in her heart and peaceful, because it's double hard for the teachers to be working from home. So we started what is called a very compulsory and a very special training for teachers first on meditation.
Wow.
And we are having a 10 minutes meditation for teachers every day. Okay, so before they plunge into the day, they come and take a pause, because you know how a teacher's life is. It's always got long list of things to do which never ends. Okay,
Absolutely.
so it's been very, very positive. Let me tell you, it sounds simple and
Right.
it sounds cliche, but it's not. When you really
Agreed.
practice it, it's brought wonderful results for the teachers. And now the teachers, the way they are able to coach children on meditation, because earlier kids were like, okay, what are we supposed to do? Okay,
Right.
so half of them would be fooling around or sleeping,
Right.
or trying to do other things in the pretext of meditation. But now you should really, because we also are making children do reflections every day.
Wow.
So you should read the way children reflect on meditation. So when they reflect on the meditation time and talk about it, you really know that it stayed with them.
Right.
Okay, it's something that they're enjoying. And so honestly, we're very, very happy with this meditation time. And of course, we have coached the teachers to use mindfulness at the start of the class or middle of the class, or
Right.
whenever the things are going out of control, and coach children on how they can actually get hold of their emotion. If they're feeling angry, take a pause, so deep breathing.
Right.
And the triangle breathing, square breathing. So the children now have the vocabulary and the understanding to look at themselves objectively and not be carried away by a storm that brews sometimes in our heads. And I'm sure we've spoken about this earlier. We also did when the school was on ground, we did something called silent teaching, which
Right.
was where, we thought that the teacher could actually teach the children without the use of noise and words, because we're living in an extremely noisy world.
Right.
There's just too much vocabulary. A few years back, a little kid wouldn't even know so many words. Now a 5-year-old comes and tells you, I'm stressed.
True
I sometimes wonder what is stress.
What is it that is causing stress?
Exactly. So therefore, to learn that just being silent is so important and critical to bring back sanity. Otherwise, these words can drown us, into this mayhem of words, of ideas. So it's important that mind is controlled, is reined, because it's like, like they say, it's like a wild horse. If you don't tame it, it can crush you.
Perfect. Beautiful answer. Thank you so much for the lovely words, ma'am. So basically 3 takeaways from me personally from that particular answer. One is be mindful of what you are doing, right? Take a moment, pause, think, and then move on. Second is very important statement. We are human beings. We are not human doings. So please take charge of who you are. And third, life is going to throw a lot of googlies at you. Believe in yourself and smash them out of the park, my dear friends, right? Next question, ma'am. Technology is definitely causing tremendous changes, These shifts have also happened in the educational sector. 15 months back, overnight, the schools closed. Everybody had to move online, including the teachers, students, parents. A novel approach of imparting knowledge has been noticed around the world. Many of them have taken this very positively. So a disruption has come on its own. We didn't have to bring about a disruption. So with the development of online educational apps, the education system has transformed completely from what it was a decade back. And now when the pandemic has struck and the countries have started to lock themselves into quarantines, students, working professionals and kids, all of them have found themselves in a situation where they were supposed to continue their work and education at home. This is where I feel online learning came into the fore. So my question to you is, ma'am, how can we use various e-learning tools or e-learning apps in conjunction with online education in your opinion? And tomorrow when the schools reopen, how do you retain certain important facets of this online learning going forward, ma'am?
Right, a very good question. Thank you for that. The relationship we all had as educators pre-corona and the relationship that we have with the technology now is absolutely, 2 different things.
Absolutely.
And there is no going back. There's no ever, going back to stage zero, we have made a leap and we have gone forward with technology, and whether we like it or not, we have befriended it. It's become a part of us. And to make online teaching real and effective, of course, the teachers across, there are so many passionate educators and so many, thankfully, in our school as well, we have really gone and really hunted for the right tool, because there were a lot of handicaps you suddenly have when children are in another zone, you're in another zone. So teachers have had to find a lot of tools, a lot of apps, but it's amazing to see how they have found so many ways of means of doing collaboration online and getting children to sketch things on the whiteboard as they're asking them to doodle something or whatever. And all of these apps are, thanks to technology. I mean, we never sort of really appreciated the existence of all this.
Absolutely.
And the hard work that, and honestly, I was one of those who would look at the technology people and say, oh, they're here to do some business. And, I wouldn't think that technology would ever replace a human teacher, which I still hold very dear. I still feel that teacher is never going to be replaced by technology.
Absolutely.
But
I agree with you on that.
if teacher has technology in her hand, she's becoming a demigod. So it's like the warrior is still the teacher, but if you give her this weapon, it can change the world. And I think we really owe a lot of gratitude to all the people who have created really wonderful platforms, games, quizzes. Even if children are just doing a simple match the following, but they're just doing it on an app, and they'd come back and say, wow, that was so much fun, So thanks to technology, I think we have survived these years, and we are sailing through these years because of the apps. And I'm sure that when we go back to the classroom, there are certain elements that we can't ever throw away completely.
Right. Thank you so much, ma'am, for yet another brilliant answer. Now, my next question to you, ma'am, NEP 2020, the talk of the town for the last few months, is a step in the right direction for nation building and progress. It is a game-changing policy aimed at making the country more inclusive, unified, and productive. This policy talks about blended learning, multidisciplinary learning. The policy has a balanced and a very inclusive approach. It understands the importance of using technology and digitization to overcome the education gap. However, the focus areas of the policy seek to cultivate 21st century skills among students, including critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, and digital literacy. As an educator, ma'am, how important do you think is the integration of life skills in the academic curriculum?
Very, very important. And, I must first say that new education policy was like a big ray of hope or sunshine amidst the corona nightmare. It was really a great ray of hope, a great vision document, I think long overdue, but it's better late than never. And it has really brought, it's making all the right sounds, about, the way the pedagogy needs to change in our school, but it's not going to be possible unless the higher education changes. And therefore, when it talks about, not having a science or a commerce or humanities stream strictly, and be able to give flexible curriculum to children, have flexible board exams, not once a year, have it twice a year, and take the whole fizz out of the board exam. When the children come to 10th, they automatically, a new avatar sort of wakes up in them. And there is no need for that kind of a hype, and that's not what real and true and authentic education can ever be about. So it was wonderful to really see what new education policy is talking about, and thankfully, it feels like some of your chains have been cut off. So you are a little bit free to move in the skies and make the changes. And I grabbed the opportunity immediately. We worked for about 3 months looking at how we can actually just, bring our dreams into reality. Now the education policy is here. And there are many, many good things that the policy has, right? Like you said, right, from the integration of curriculum and having multidisciplinary teaching. So first thing we did was knocked off all the subject areas. So we don't have a English, math, Hindi, SST period anymore this year.
Wow.
When the school started, we just have a project period, and we have a thematic unit. The whole curriculum was packed into themes and projects and inquiries. And the children are just conducting those experiments, and not just experiments, so they are conducting those kind of project-based learning or inquiry-based learning. And as they're exploring, they're learning all the subjects. So, sometimes the kids are so confused and they keep asking, but what are we studying right now? And we say, your guess is as good as mine. You don't need to be bothered about whether we are studying English or Hindi or whatever. But let's learn and let's be concerned about, exploring the themes that we're exploring. And that's been a very wonderful change, let me tell you. I was very sad that we could not open the schools on ground even this year. I was really hoping that the schools would open and we can actually have a very good project-based learning, and we can actually build this beautiful community while we do that. Unfortunately, we've had to do it online, but let me tell you, the rewards are still very, very satisfying. So that has been one major change we brought in the entire transaction of the curriculum. So across the school from grade 1 to 8, the entire curriculum is now integrated. That's number one. Number two, what we chose to do was, the Indianization of the curriculum. And I think I'm a very big believer of the same thing, that we as Indians, we suffer from a kind of a complex, We're never proud of being an Indian. Unless our yoga is taken to America and brought back as yoga, we're not proud of it, Unless it is written in the Harvard Journal, we are not very proud of our ancient wisdom, whether it is Ayurveda or whether it is astrology or astronomy or whatever it is. So I think it's really high time that the schools are given that responsibility and the schools really work towards creating proud Indians, okay? Not just proud, but also Indians who are aware of the ancient, inherent, indigenous wisdom that our country has. So we also did very intensive work in trying to integrate Indianization across the subject area. So I'll give you an example. We just did the first theme that we did for grade 4, was on force and motion, okay? So they actually looked at the mythological story of Bhim and Hanumanji, and how Bhim was not able to move Hanumanji's tail, and they based their inquiry of force and motion from that mythological tale. So we have integrated a mythology across the curriculum. So whether they are doing planets, so they are also looking at the planetary significance in Indian astrology, but we have made sure that they are exposed to what is our stories. Somehow we feel very, very happy when children learn only Shakespeare and Charles Dickens, but I think to really introduce Shakuntala and Munshi Premchand to very wonderful literature pieces we've been able to cull out and integrate with our curriculum. I'm very, very happy about that. That's one of the things. One of the things we also did was, which is really appreciated by kids, and I'm really surprised. We just introduced that the prayers will be multi-faith. So Mondays is a Hindu prayer, Tuesdays is a biblical prayer, Wednesdays is a Sikh prayer, Thursdays is a Sufi prayer, and Fridays is an Islamic prayer. And the children are enjoying all kinds of prayers, and even the teachers, everyone is realizing that how similar are they, in the kind of peace they bring, in the kind of message they impart, in the entire feeling behind it. And then, why do we make out the differences? So it's a very simple thing which I feel is, we talk about secularism in the SST classrooms, but if we don't practice it, if we don't make it a part of who we are, we cannot be raising a different generation, So these are, some of the changes we brought in terms of the Indianization. And then, of course, we have the coding curriculum, which has been integrated across the classes. But along with that, coding is sort of becoming a life skill, although I have my doubts. But yeah, it is becoming a life skill,
Right.
And looking at how the unpredictability of how Corona can change the world, we don't know what the kids have to look at. So it's best to learn coding.
Absolutely.
But along with coding, the digital citizenship, which is as important as, we teach children safety in the world, we teach them health and hygiene in the world and etiquettes and good manners. And it's important for them to know how to have those netiquettes when on internet all the time, how to be safe, on the online platforms, and what are your digital footprints that you're leaving, every time you log on. So this is, again, a very, very, I think, essential, critical sort of a subject area to be taught to children, and we have integrated that as our curriculum too this year. We hope that when the schools go back online, we will work more on internships and vocational education part, which is, again, very beautiful
Right.
aspect of the new education policy. So I think, the shift that we made in terms of Indianization and integration, it is very automatically become very skill oriented. The kids are doing group work, and the kind of struggle they have trying to find a common time to have a meeting, or trying to incorporate someone's idea, or trying to make this one guy who's refusing to work, refusing to meet deadlines, to take him along, is actually teaching them a whole lot of skills in terms of tolerance, patience, communication, non-verbal communication, so that they're not attacking the other children.
Right.
And besides that, a lot of problem solving, creative thinking, critical thinking, because the teachers are not giving answers anymore. They're not explaining concepts, but they're exploring concepts. So there's a whole lot of skills that are just being built very, very, indirectly through this entire experience. So I think new education policy is a blessing, and it's in our hands how to make the most of it.
Yet another brilliant answer, and a host of changes, Indianization of education, project-based learning, collaborative study, brilliant examples. So this is a wonderful opportunity for all the educators out there. Make changes, put your money where your mouth is, and this is a golden opportunity for all of us to make sure that the future generations study absolutely differently. How successful the NEP turns out to be, of course, time will tell. The proof of pudding is always in the eating. Moving to the next question, ma'am. Traditionally, teaching was always a combination of information dispensing, custodial childcare, and sorting out academically inclined students from the others. Teachers were told what to do, when to do, how to teach. They were required to educate every student exactly in the same way, right? Teachers today, however, are encouraged to adapt and adopt new practices that acknowledge both the art and science of learning. So as the role of teacher is evolving every day, the need for teacher training is more vital than it ever was so far till date. So teacher learning is a continuous and a never-ending process which promotes teaching skills, master novel knowledge, develop better or newer proficiencies, which in return, of course, assists in improving teachers' learning. So with a certification in educational leadership and a master trainer yourself, what steps do you take to promote teacher training, ma'am? How important is it?
I think it's critical. Okay, not just now. I think I've been running the school for the last 22 years, and I think it has been critical from day one till date. Okay, because you might have a degree, you might have teachers who have experience and who have qualification, but when they come into your system, you are creating a new ecosystem. And for teacher to be groomed into how you want a certain thing to be conducted, training is essential. I am very happy about the fact that new education policy made 50 hours of teacher training compulsory every year. A few years back, I visited a school in Singapore, and one of the things that I had loved there were two things I liked actually. One was that every school had a national education area dedicated, and national education was a very huge, big thing for every school to really be attending to. And that's the reason that in Singapore, even when you step out and get into a taxi, the taxi driver knows that he's representing his country, to the tourists out there. And I think I'm very happy, therefore, that when we have brought the focus to Indianization. But the other thing that I had loved at that point in the Singapore education system was that 100 hours of training is compulsory for every teacher every year, which I think was so wonderful, because I had been taking a whole lot of steps to really make sure that the teachers don't see another training like, oh, yet another meeting, oh my God, they're going to give us a lecture, because unless there is a receptivity and a hunger for what is being given to you, it can just turn into a mundane meeting, which was useless, a waste of time. Teachers say, oh, I would have corrected 5 notebooks. Why did they make me, sit through the meeting? So I think it's very important for everybody to understand that only a good learner can be a good teacher. And if a teacher doesn't have the hunger to learn and to, sort of constantly stretch herself towards excellence, you can't have the kind of the youth that we are hoping to, see at the end of the schooling process. So as a school leader, I think I have made it very, very clear and mandatory, because even teachers are given a card that they maintain about how many training hours have they attended in the school. And I did this before the NEP. So now it's wow, it's like I've got the legal sort of right to do it. So I think training is a critical part, is as essential as breathing, because if you don't sharpen your saw, I mean, this old saying, right? You don't sharpen your saw, you can go keep hitting the wood, and try to cut it. It's going to be just harder, take longer, and going to be very difficult. So take a pause and sharpen your saw. I think that's very critical, and I would say that rather than outsourcing training, it is the school leader's job to train the teachers. Because what you know of the inherent and intrinsic demands and needs of the teachers, pulse of the classroom, what is it that my teacher needs to know right now? Okay, what's happening in the classroom this week? What kind of problems and challenges have they faced? So what is it that they need right now? You know. So training is very critical. Teacher must open herself and be dedicated to training, and so should the school leader.
Brilliant. So wonderful message for all the school leaders. A leader is the one who knows the way, shows the way, and not only that, even walks the way. So very, very important lesson out there for all the school leaders and teachers. A very important message for you as well. Change is inevitable. So learn to manage change and then use that change to manage. You will grow as a person. Your goals will be aligned with the organization's goal and will lead to an automatic growth in your system as well. Fantastic answer, ma'am. Thank you so much. Moving to the next question, ma'am. The last question. The parents are basically very confused now. The pandemic has been tough on all of us. So would you like to leave a message to all the parents as well as the students out there, how to handle this situation? And once things open up, what are the things that they need to take care of?
Right. I think one thing I would like to tell the parents is that it's okay if we are not able to do as much as we did earlier. It's okay if the children are also not learning as much as they did earlier. It's okay to treat this situation as a special situation, and it's okay to just relax. Nothing is going to change and nobody's going to be left behind, just because you breathe and you allow the children to breathe. So don't breathe down their neck, because they don't have an escape from you at this moment. Okay, a lot of times they don't even have a personal space. So take it easy. Life is not a race. Okay, even if your children are in grade 10, there's nothing to worry. Okay, heavens are not going to fall, because everybody is going to respond to the situation. If situation is difficult, then so will the board, so will the country, so will the government, so will everybody respond to it differently. So just at this moment, please give your children space, understanding, and bonding time where we can talk minus the school affairs. Okay, where we can laugh together and watch something together, because they are not with their friends. So try to be less of a parent, more of a friend, and create a happy home. It's your responsibility.
Thank you so much. So my dear parents and students, remember, you're not going to miss out a thing. Don't think this is the end of life. Relax, things are going to be back to normal and nothing is going to happen. It's absolutely okay not to rush with everyone at the same time. Brilliant message. Thank you so much, ma'am.